What is good? I go by Osiris. The channel's Middle Maga. I decided to go with the throwback gear, promoted to Ultra Maga. Remember back when Maga existed, October 6th? When Maga was actually anti-war? Or maybe Maga wasn't always anti-war, but when I thought Maga was anti-war? Got a little throwback gear. I'm keeping the gear, man. It will be good memories. For real. What happens after Maga? I mean, Maga's falling apart. And it's not a bad thing. It's going to branch off to other things. You've got Dr. Karlin Borisenko with this love affair with the Groypers. Like there's funny things going on like the weird side, but that's a good thing. She had a little problems with the Groypers, came up in her live though. Be nice to her. Be nice to her. That's not going to end well. I'm not going to lie. The love affair between Dr. Karlin Borisenko and Nick Fuentes, it's not going to end well. But right now, I'm going to enjoy it. One of my favorite moments since I got into this streaming world. If you didn't know, Dr. Karlin Borisenko is watching Nick's lives every day now. I'm like, word. We are so back. Let's go. Boring Life, Hike Martin, what's going on? Deck? Is that Deck Gmail? No, he's not. He's home. Oh my gosh. I can already tell by this picture this isn't true. He's in bed at this hour. Nah, Joe Biden, he's wide awake. He's trying to figure out how to get World War IV going. He's already got the momentum for 3. Why not go for 4, 5, 6? Don't stop. He wants his legacy to be that of war, Joe Biden. But we've got and then we've got beef like popping off all over the place, and it's just and I think it's healthy for the most part as long as it doesn't digress into like foolishness, you know. It's healthy as long as it's not like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert putting hands on each other allegedly. It's, you know, that happened a while back, not recently, but who knows? As long as it's not that, then I think it's good. I've seen, you know, Lauren Loomer. You know how highly I think of Laura Loomer. The only problem I had with Lauren Loomer was that she was so Trump heavy that, you know, it kind of, she could have been better to me if she wasn't as Trump focused, but still great. Nobody's perfect. But then now I hate to say it, it's almost sounding like she's supporting genocide in a way. I don't know. Because I don't agree with her on on the Israel take. I don't even know where she stands with the money, but I don't agree with her. So I'm reading her other tweets, and on that one, just like people who might not agree with me on my Israel take, they're not, you know, some people are like, I'm going to mute you because there's a lot of anti-Semitism in your feed. And I'm like, I don't like Israel. I don't care about, I have nothing, I don't put Jewish people in high regard or low regard. I don't know what you mean by anti-Semitism, but I will say this: as far as Israel goes, I am not a fan. I say that all the time about the CCP. I never had a problem. Is there not a word for anti-CCP? But that's fine. Whatever you want to call that, that's where I'm at, and I can't control whatever people say in the comments. They say in the comments. You go by what I say. This Justin, good evening. Thanks for stopping by. Dex said, "You're a Trumpy." Whew, how would you describe that? I'm definitely not anti-Trump. I would say that there's a lot of good things about Trump. I should have voted for Trump in 2016. But this might be bad for you, Deck. I don't think Trump is Trump enough. So maybe that's, I don't know what you would call that. I think, but I'm really kind of more libertarian leaning. So that's why it's Middle Maga. I've got dots all over the place, and I don't care where they land. I am only married to the best argument. So if that makes me a Trumpian, if I agree with Trump, then I'll wear the red. Well, not I don't really wear the MAGA hat, but I'll wear hat. I'll wear MAGA, um, which is separate than Trump. So I'm not scared to go where that lands. But I know what I'm not, and that's a Joe Biden. I'm not a Balchinian. I'll salute them like this. I'm like, Balchinian, you are the great, but I'm not that myself. I'm not a supporter of that. I'm the Black Vosh. No, I'm not the Black Vosh. Ray Studios, what's up? The homie Ray Studios. Follow Ray Studios on Twitter. It's at Ray Studios 29, I believe, on Twitter. On X, that's the platform. We're trying to get some popping stuff popping on that. I'm gonna do hey Ray, I can do a Twitter Spaces this Monday if you're free to do that. We can do another one. Hey Christian, catching this live for a change. Nice. Hey everyone, sharing Osiris' stance on Israel. Yeah, but here's my thing. I was thinking about it. I'm going to talk about Joe Biden and war. Right, I'm going to get right into that here. But as everybody gets in, that I was thinking about it because Ray and I disagree. We disagree on Israel, but let me put and Carlos and I. But let me put a caveat on that. I don't know if we really fully disagree. It's not the same as some other disagreements because I think Ray, I don't want to speak for them. This is my understanding of their position is that they're not necessarily for the Israeli government. They are for the Jewish people and the land of Israel from a biblical standpoint. And with that, I don't have a disagreement there. I'm not as knowledgeable, but I'm not expressing disagreement there. I will say I don't want any money. So I can give you thoughts and prayers, but I don't want my money to go over there to protect that. But you see, it's a slight disagreement, but it's not the same as some of these other. It's not the same as people who are like, let's go to war. That's what Joe Biden went on that Oval Office primetime speech about. That whole speech was, let's go to war. I don't have a good reason for it. I'm not going to tell you all the ins and outs of why you wouldn't. It wasn't a discussion of, well, let's go to war. Let's talk like adults. Here's the downside to war: death, destruction, loss of life. Here's the bad stuff that can happen. Here's the bad stuff that's happening that's what an adult conversation is. Here are the negative things. Everything is not all roses. I want to be transparent with you. I mean, and that's not just a Biden critique. I don't think Trump really does that. I think there's a lot of politicians that ignore that part of a discussion. Even the House, even the House and the Senate, they forego those responsibilities as well very often. But that's what the adult conversation is I think we should you flat out tell people, I think we should go to war or put ourselves in that position where war is very likely. So if we put ships out there and we're right in the middle of the conflict, then obviously a suicide drone or something can go boom right on us. And then we're at war. So we're getting closer to war, close enough where you've got to make the case for war. So if you're going over to the Middle East and you've got carriers over there and you don't make your case for war, then that means you didn't think it out because you're in the thick of it. How could you not be thinking about war? It would be irresponsible not to. We got carriers in the Red Sea out there, and I don't know if we're in the Mediterranean, but we're right there. Bombs going overhead. So when he's on the primetime address, that's what he's addressing, but he's not telling everybody everything. So that's the problem I have, and that's what really gets me hyped to go on the show and talk with you all and see where your head is at, and to bring up these clips that I wish, hey, if somebody was in a news studio, they would bring up the clips. It's not about agreeing with me or not. Actually, I like disagreement. So, Deck, if you disagree, please don't go anywhere. I mean, this is how we talk it out. I could change my mind in a heartbeat. I'm not married to anything that definitive. Especially we're dealing with geopolitics. I usually don't even get into the geopolitics stuff, but when you start saying you're going to use my tax dollars, I'm going to have a say in it. Yeah, the funny thing is that we were talking about reparations, and somebody and my position is anti-reparations, and somebody was saying I shouldn't have a say in it. And I was like, wait a second. You try to tell me that you want to use my tax dollars, but I don't have a say in the conversation? The same thing with war. I don't need to be an expert. You make the case to me. Aren't you supposed to be the expert? Jack Posebek is what prompted this. To I'm just looking at the chessboard, the risk pieces, and I think Jack is right here. Jack Posebek set out a tweet, and the tweet is Russia orders Air Force to load hypersonics. Houthis firing long range missiles at Israel. U.S. bases hit with drone attacks in Iraq and Syria. Iranian backed militias across the Middle East mobilizing. Biden is marching us into war. It's what that basically is covering. I think he's absolutely right here. This is from OSINT Defender. This is just anecdotal, and this isn't like the main reason why I think we're going to war, but it fits the topic. Rumors are that the crew on board the USS Gerald R. Ford in the Eastern Mediterranean have been served steak and lobster tonight for dinner. I'm not a war guy. I've never been on a ship, but I already know where this is going. How often do you get steak and lobster? Unless you're Nancy and Paul, you don't get steak and lobster every night. Unless you are one of those big dogs, unless you're like Elon, and Elon's too cheap for that, I think. Unless you are a big dog, you're not getting steak and lobster every night. When you get steak and lobster, something's up. Is it an anniversary? Is it a birthday? Or is something bad about to happen? Which is what is hinted at in this tweet, this post on X, which is usually reserved for either holidays, which today is not, or news which is expected to lower the crew's morale, like a deployment extension or possibly something else. It looks good, doesn't it? It's late at night. I'm getting a little hungry. I love the lobster tail. Ooh, that's some good stuff. So you got surf and turf going on. That's some good stuff. I'm ready. Just let me know when and where. But then also let me know what's going on. What's the bad news that hasn't gotten here yet? Let's look at this. U.S.-led troops in Iraq. These are the things that are leading me to think that we are getting to war. U.S.-led troops in Iraq reportedly targeted by suicide drone. A suicide drone hit an airbase in Iraq hosting U.S. troops, Iraqi security forces said Saturday, but the Pentagon said it could not confirm that such an attack took place, which what means is they're not saying one way or the other, which makes you if it wasn't, you think they'd probably say so. So it leads you to believe that it's true, even though we don't know for sure. You have to think through this stuff critically. If they knew definitively that didn't happen, they would say it didn't happen. There's no, for them to be in the middle here, there's no benefit. And it's at the base right in Iraq there. So why are we even over there? That's the first question. We got a base right in the middle of Iraq there, surrounded by Syria, Iran, Jordan over here. Israel's on the west over here. You got Lebanon popping off North Israel. It's just a chaotic moment for the Middle East. A lot's changed since Donald Trump was in office. Now, some of that might have been corrupt. I don't know what happened with Kush. Jared Kushner got that $2 billion investment. He didn't get $2 million. He got the investment, and his company gets the fees that go with that. So it's about $25 million a year. But what would you be able to do with $25 million a year? And so after they left office, and it doesn't look right. It looks like there was some type of quid pro quo, you could say. Looks unsavory. Nothing illegal there. Nothing even close to what Joe Biden was alleged, or pretty much confirmed almost, but to have done. But still shady. But we had peace. So there's pros and cons to that. But we've got chaos now. They're popping off, literally. The drone came down inside the, I don't know how to pronounce this, Al-Assad base in the western province of Anbar without causing any casualties or damage, a military source said or told AFP on the condition of anonymity. The statement issued on Telegram channels by pro-Iranian armed groups said the attack was carried out by a group calling itself the Islamic Resistance in Iraq. I don't know how many of these little groups they've got out there, but it sounds like they're getting funding from somewhere, and they're popping up all over the place. Let's see. It was proven fact. Was this proven fact? False, Deck? I'm just jumping in the chat. Deck Gmail says it was proven false, maybe from the chat, talking about a different topic there. Well, TNT Cycles PDX. What's good? Jordan Lott, how you feeling? Bro, the police after me. A business trespassed me because they disliked my free speech. The left gets to protest, but we libertarians are getting our rights violated. Man, be safe. Be cool out there. Jordan Lott, great friend of the show. And yeah, you're right. I found out about that very late in the game during the pandemic, when I found out that a lot of the things that libertarians say, the government obviously is against, because a lot of libertarians are against, don't even think the federal government, and I would be in that boat. The federal government does not need to exist. So that's why I said, Deck, I'm probably more a libertarian than anything. But I'm a new libertarian. MAGA, I've kind of grown with MAGA, and I like the MAGA movement, at least what it was up till October 6th. October 7th, the tragedy happened where the Birkenstock-wearing people paratrooped across Israel's border, and it bridged the border in multiple areas, and it took hours for them to respond. Ever since then, MAGA has been split between the Israel First and the America First wings of the MAGA party. So that's what I mean if you're just tuning in. If you didn't know that that's what's going on. But you're right, Jordan Lott. Just be safe, man. Keep your freedom. And they're gonna lock you. They're gonna lock anybody up. Everybody up, anybody up. They're gonna start with certain people first, but if you step out of line, you are in danger. Since Wednesday, 3 Iraqi bases used by U.S.-led coalition troops have been targeted in 5 separate attacks. And Al-Assad, the Al-Ahar base in northern Iraq, and a military camp near Baghdad airport. Does that sound like we're almost at war to you? Since Wednesday. So this is last week, Wednesday, 3 Iraqi bases used by U.S.-led coalition troops have been targeted. The United States has about 2,500 troops stationed at the 3 bases, alongside 1,000 soldiers from other countries in the coalition set up to fight the Islamic State jihadi group. So you've got stuff popping off. We're definitely within our rights to say it looks like this is like real full-blown, because we were talking about World War III by proxy with Ukraine. And this one's still kind of by proxy because it's like America, and we have this deal with Iran, and it's kind of by proxy, which is kind of in a weird, we're kind of in a no man's land with them. But I think what's happening, this is real deal stuff. That's why every day I'm gonna touch on some non-Israel stories, but to me this is the number one. I mean, this is it right here. And the house battle ties into this, but this is it. This is no joke. This is for real. This could be serious go time. And I think it's taken us there. Another thing that Jack Posobiec tweeted out there, kind of putting all the news together in one post. Not even all of them. They're not even all the news, but some of the big stories in one post. Russia orders Air Force to load hypersonics. So we saw this on X again, X platform. We're seeing a lot of stuff breaking on X. But I thought this was funny, or not funny. So I searched it on Google. Russia orders Air Force to load hypersonics. I searched that on Google, and it says it looks like the results are changing quickly. Check the source. Are they trusted on this topic? I wonder why. Is it because you know that war is coming? You want to change that narrative up real quick? They're changing it up. Here it is. This is from a couple days ago. Eurasia Times. Russia goes all out hypersonic. So they're looking at hypersonic missiles. So they're looking at missiles that go so fast, they're hard to stop, basically. And they could put nuclear warheads. I'm not saying they will, but they could. A lot of stuff popping up. Russia goes all out hypersonic after MiG-31 armed Kinzhal. Kremlin puts an avant-garde complex in action mode. And I apologize, I don't know all these terms, so I'm bad at pronouncing them. So I'm trying to I'm learning. I'm doing some research on the weaponry part of it. Believe it or not, in China, I don't know if it's a lot, but some of the schools teach the kids learn the different tanks and bombs and guns and stuff like that. I don't know anything about the tanks and bombs. A statement published by the Russian Ministry of Defense on October 20th noted that the Yazinsky missile unit of the Strategic Missile Forces in the Orenburg region is being rearmed with the avant-garde missile complex, Russian state agency reported. The ministry also published an elaborate video showing the process of the rearming. And this is straight from X. What we're seeing here is a truck rolling on up with, I don't know what it's rolling up with. I think that's the missile itself. Huge. What plane can, I don't even know what I'm looking at. I really don't even know what that whatever they're carrying there is humongous. I don't know if is that the missile? The missile needs like a flatbed. I mean, it looks like SpaceX. It looks like it seriously looks like some type of spaceship. I don't know what I'm looking at here. Wow. Getting ready. Russia President Putin orders fighter jets armed with hypersonic missiles to begin round-the-clock patrols over the Black Sea. Patrols to give visual control of the Mediterranean. See, that's what I was like. Are we in the Mediterranean? I don't know. But we've got a couple ships up there. And so this is Putin. They just moved 2 aviation strike groups into the Mediterranean Sea. I want to say this is not a threat. Well, I'm going to say now. So I guess he might be talking about America there. And what I will inform you about, but on my behalf, the Russian Air Force, Russian Space Forces. Is this recent? He looks better than, I was looking at stuff from him like last year. He looked bad. I don't know if he had COVID or what, but he was looking terrible. But on my behalf, the Russian Air Force, Russian Space Forces are starting on an ongoing basis in the neutral zone of the airspace in the Black Sea. And our planes are armed with the Kinzhal missiles. They're known to have a range of over 1,000 kilometers at Mach 9 speed. So he's kind of just reminding everyone, I've got the range to touch you. That's what it sounded like to me. Why would he need to talk about the range of the missile when everybody already knows the range of the, well, not me, but people who should know and already know that. Jordan Lott says, I'll stay safe. If you want me to throw a libertarian Dave Tupac Swift party, I'll invite you. Let Liberty ring true taco for speaker. Appreciate you. Yeah, man, we're gonna do that. So we got to figure out. My thought on it, Jordan, is when we figure out who we're late in the game. I mean, I'm not an expert in that, but typically we know who the presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party is by now. I believe. I mean, usually it's probably by August, I would think. But no rush. I mean, if they know what they're doing. So I trust Michael Heiss. I trust Angela McCardle, all of them. So they're going to go through and they're going to have somebody become the front runner. And once we get into that, we'll look at the different candidates. And then once we get an official person winning, which it could take all the way up until the, it's not a primary, is it? But it's all the way up till that when they choose with the delegates or whatever. I don't even know what the process is called. But when they go ahead and get chosen, when they choose it, and really, I haven't heard Comic Dave Smith's reasoning, but he could still be president. He could still change his mind all the way up to that date. He could change his mind on that date. I forget when it is, in May or something next year. But then we'll have a celebration. But before that, we'll break down the candidates, and we'll do all that. Christian says Osiris Complex equals weapon system. Funny thing in Russian translation. Avant-garde is a long-range missile. Thank you. Appreciate it. Give me some more lessons on this stuff. I had no idea what those things meant. So when I was reading Complex, it's a weapon system, and it's just funny with the Russian translation. Okay, avant-garde is a long-range missile. We're in some serious territory. He didn't mention, like Biden didn't mention anything about that. Like when you do this breakdown, maybe you don't get to that level of detail, but you say, I felt like we needed to move our cruise ships out there or the aircraft carriers out there, and we're in danger now. War could happen at any time. Here's what as a leader, here's what my thought is. Here's the plan. You can't dox anybody or do anything stupid like that, but you want to be able to tell people this is the big picture. Trust you got to give people enough to really trust you. But I think the thing with Joe Biden is he's on his way to start World War III, and a lot of people, they actually do trust him. I think they trust him. Shout out to Ramble Ranch for the thumbnail. Biden on his way to start World War III, man. The Dilly meme team. Let's go. Y'all stupid for that one. Ramble Rants is in his bag. Ramble Rants and the Dilly meme team, man. They are. I think people were online trying to blame Christina Pushaw. If you watch the channel, you know I am a fan and supporter of her. It hurts to see that she's on the other side, but and why we need to even be against each other. I'm not against her, but the DeSantis, she's on DeSantis, if you don't know, Team DeSantis. But they're blaming her for the failures online. And I'm like, nah. So you can't, look at the Dilly meme team. Who's going up against the Dilly meme team and winning? We're looking at like the greatest, like these are some of the best memesters on the planet getting together and actually working and coordinating and featuring on each other's stuff. There's no one, nowhere, no bots, no Christina Pushaw, no DeSantis. No one was going to beat that team in the primary. Now we'll see what happens in the general, and I think we could see, believe it or not, I think we could see some heavy. They're already saying that there's like deranking and shadow banning potentially, but I think when the general comes, even on X, I think you could see some serious, especially if we get to war. Like that meme I just showed you there, that's going to get you to the gulag. I think that's going to get you to the gulag. I mean, it could now. I mean, we see what happened with Douglas Mackey. So let's not get it twisted. More things. So Jack Posevec broke down the different things that we're looking at. We talked about Russian orders Air Force to load the hypersonics. Houthis firing long-range missiles at Israel. And those long-range missiles, I believe those are the ones where the U.S. warship intercepted. Let's look at that story. Pentagon says it shot down Yemen missiles. I talked about this briefly once, but now I'm going full-blown saying that we are going to go to a full-blown World War III. It's going to be hot, full-blown World War III. And part of the reason what made me go say this is going to happen is the economic environment in our country. I think the economic environment of our country leads us down the path of we've got heavy inflation, interest rates going up, the bond, oh my goodness. You're looking at a lot of these interest rates are tied into the 10-year bond, and it's not looking good. I mean, we could see that rate go up to 8%. Just looking at different economists, and that's going to be serious. And that's going to be to the point where a lot of people won't be able to pay their credit card bills. Companies will go under. I'm not predicting that, but that's where we're trending. And the best way to hide that is probably with war. You bring war in, it justifies more borrowing. Maybe you are able to wash some of that money out of the states to overseas. They're trying to protect the value of the dollar. And then I think they're going to get some manufacturing because in the U.S., because the weapons are expensive. These things are expensive to make. If you go down that path, you can create economic growth. TNT Cycles PDX, thank you, $10 super chat, says if we go to war, the U.S. dollar won't be worth anything, if it even is now. Get your precious metals while you can, silver, gold, brass, and lead. Stay safe, stay strapped. Very well said. And that's not a joke. When he's talking about getting like your hard, basically TNT Cycles PDX is saying get your hard, tangible, precious metals over even crypto. I mean, I'm not giving any advice or anything like that, but it sounds like that's what TNT is saying. And I think there's something to that, having tangible things that are worth something. If that paper or in your bank account, when it turns out that it's not worth as much as it should be, it's already getting devalued by the moment. You got to go to something else. Great friend of the show, TNT Cycles PDX. Thank you, $10 super chat. I'm writing in Jim Beam for president. It's one of those. It is Saturday night, isn't it? It's one of those nights. So the Pentagon said it shot down Yemen missiles that may have been headed towards Israel. They said they shut that down. The report came just a day after U.S. troops were attacked in Iraq and Syria that we just talked about. And it is stoking fears of regional expansion of the conflict. The USS Carney, currently stationed in the northern Red Sea, way up in there. So if it's in the northern Red Sea, it's way up in there. Successfully intercepted 3 cruise missiles and several drones. So they can intercept drones as long as there's not too many. Then I don't know if they have the ability to intercept, but it's very expensive. But if you could bring in 50 drones and you say 10 of them make it through, or I don't know how many, it's a numbers game at that point. They've been launched by the Houthi forces in Yemen. I saw a video where where Hamas was using an agricultural drone to drop on an Israeli tank. An agricultural, like a drone you use for farming, dropped on an Israeli tank. So they're getting creative, doing different things. Speaking to reporters on Thursday, Reuters said the Pentagon was still working to determine the weapon's intended target. And basically, that's just them nowadays. That's just their way of saying, we're not going to tell you. That's all that is. There's nothing else to it. There's nothing more to it. It's really just them saying, yeah, this is basically them saying, yeah, we're not going to tell you anymore. And we're dealing with war, so I can't completely, knock them on that. Before I go on to the next one, let me play this clip. This is from Jack Posebek. He was on with the War Room, and man, he came out hot. This is from today. He came out hot on a Saturday, and he broke it. He broke it down.
What we're doing is trying to put the pieces together, connect the dots. And what you're seeing in Axios right now, what the Biden administration, the White House is doing, is all they can to prevent the true narrative from spilling out into the public, that all of this is inextricably linked. It is all connected. And I threw a post up on X and Getter this morning. Russia has ordered the Russian Air Force to load up on hypersonics and put them at combat readiness. The Houthis have begun firing long-range missiles at Israel. U.S. bases being hit with drone attacks in Iraq and Syria. Iranian-backed militias across the Middle East are mobilizing. And if you think for a second that all of this is happening while Putin and Xi Jinping are holding their meeting in Beijing, looking out at all of this, while the BRICS nations are rising, while you've got Dugin and these other thinkers talking about how the rise of the multipolar world, the nodes of the multipolar world, are all turning against what they view as the American and globalist empire, the globalist American empire. This is the time they have decided to make their move, because they don't know what's going to happen, Trump or not, but they know that now is the time that they want to do this, because they want to remove U.S. presence from world affairs. Every single one of our troops in the Middle East, whether you're on a ship at sea, whether you're on base, you have to understand that you are now in harm's way.
That was a heck of a clip from Jack Posebek. That was from today. Heck of a clip from Jack Posebek breaking it down. This is the person I like to go to on a lot of this stuff. I don't even know who she is. I don't even know it's she goes by Tiff. Let me look that up real quick. She goes by Tiff. I don't even know who she is. I just think she has the most fire tweets possible out there. And it's Tiff. And this sums it up, and I'm going to transition this into the House. Just generally speaking on the House, I haven't followed, believe it or not, I haven't followed the House stuff that closely. I mean, I've been reading little stuff here, headlines, a couple articles, but I know where we're at with it. But I usually would be in every single article reading on it. But it is important. But it is not. It's important. It's related to the war in the Middle East, because it's related to the budget. But let me transition to that. Tiff will take us there. Tiff says, I've stopped giving a damn about electing a House Speaker because both sides are shit, guilty of insider trading, and deserve audits. Facts. Anytime a bill gets passed, they don't count on us to actually read what's really in it, because nearly every page is filled with pork and corruption, laws that are irrelevant to the bill anyway. Then it's all DC theater with the party that wrote the piece of shit accusing the opposing party of not saving whatever, as they both get richer and richer. Then they coordinate with the propagandized media to step in and manipulate the public. It's all a game and a clown shit show. Now she is just fire on here. Who is she again? I don't even know who she is. Don't put me in a mood. Unfiltered. America First, DNC, and GOP are controlled by the system and don't give a damn about we the people. That was just a fire tweet. I'm curious where she stands on the Israel. I don't know where. That was a sad story I might get to. So Marjorie Taylor Greene's people keep calling me. Sassafras, she is good too. I don't even know. I think they're just, regular citizens. I don't even know if they, but they're just so amazing on here. What did she say? They keep calling me. I finally answered. They want to drain the swamp and get Joe out of the White House. They wanted my money for support. I told them not one fucking penny will be donated to her until she does more than just talk. Okay. Which I fully agree with. What is that? Okay, I don't know what that is. It looked like a trans dancing with somebody, which is fine. Not what I was looking for, though. Okay, I don't know what I was just looking at her Tiff's timeline. She said she's America First. I'm just curious where she is on Israel. I just hadn't seen that. But that's the perfect transition into what's happening with the speaker vote. And what's happening with the speaker vote is perfectly fine. Let's slow down. And that I'm just saying this to whoever isn't slowing down right now. Slow down. Don't let the mainstream media is trying to rush this. They're trying to push this. And let me give you the latest news on it. Time is on MAGA's side, or I guess it is MAGA in the House. They support Israel, but I would side with them on a lot of other things. House Republicans push unity pledge to guarantee a speaker. The GOP is wary of another fiasco on the House floor. These are not fiascos. Our country is divided. The Republican Party is naturally divided. This is what should happen. This is why it's happening. In January, it took 15 votes. I'm tired of this looking at it like, oh, they can't govern or this is embarrassing. No, this is necessary. No, this is needed. This is what we want. This is all related to the budget. This is all related to funding the government, which I don't know. What do we have? About 30 days left? I don't know. They passed about 2 weeks ago, 45 days. So I think we probably have less than 30 days because, or maybe it's probably around 30 days that they passed that, basically continuing resolution to keep everything funded. Now we've got a serious problem where I don't think they can even do a temporary speaker right now because they don't agree. They could if they wanted to, but right now they don't agree. If some type of emergency came up and they had to, they would do it. But they're on vacation again, believe it or not. They're on vacation for a month, I believe, came back. Oh, man. Hard work. Oh, I had to run away from a couple citizen journalists on my way to vote in secret, and then a couple times I had to sit there for hours while we took roll call in the vote. Oh, gee. It's been a rough week. How's that resonate with you all working hard every day? TNT Cycles PDX. How's that resonate with you? Oh my! When they're in Congress, they gotta take a break. Oh man, I had to call a couple of donors up. We had like steak and lobster. Oh, you know how often I've had steak and lobster? It's a rough life. Whew. The new Cybertruck's coming out. Looks live. I think I'm gonna buy one. The stress of waiting to see if I can get on. I'm not on the wait list. Maybe I can buy my way on there. Whew. And then it's a Tesla. And I don't know if I like Elon Musk, honey. It's like, it's a hard life. I had to work 3 days in a row. We worked for like 5 hours. What'd you do? I voted. I made some phone calls and I voted. And I X'd a little bit. I went on X and I posted a couple of innocuous, vacuous statements. It was tough. It was tough because I had to tell my staffer what not to say. Or in other words, my staffer told me what to say. But here's what they're going to do. or what they want to do. This is not in stone yet. This is the most updated that I've seen from today, or now it's crossing over midnight to Sunday, but from Saturday afternoon, a majority of the House Republicans vying for the speakership signed a pledge Saturday aimed at saving the GOP's next pick from the vote counting trap that sank Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan's bids. 7 lawmakers have launched campaigns for the gavel. I think I'm going to have to digress because I haven't talked about that. 7 people have launched, one of them Byron Donalds. Very interesting. Kevin Hearn, Kevin Hearn, Oklahoma, Austin Scott, Georgia, Jack Bergman, Michigan, Pete Sessions, Texas, Tom Emmer, Minnesota. Donald Trump said no to Tom Emmer. Mike Johnson, Louisiana. Byron Donalds, representative out of Florida. Considering those are the people who are pretty solid. Considering it are Jody Arrington, Roger Williams, Dan, is it Mauser? I forget. That's the one that Trump was talking about during the, I forgot. He was making fun of him, I believe. Mark Green, Republican out of Tennessee, is out. So that's where we stand with people in the race to be speaker, but they don't want a repeat of what happened. So I think they had 5 votes there, and he didn't get any. What's going on? A simple 2-paragraph pledge spearheaded by Representative Mike Flood of Nebraska to vote yay on the floor for whoever wins the House Republican Conference's backing in the initial secret ballot election scheduled for Tuesday. That is an absolute no-go. So what's happening here, tying that into the war, because I haven't sidetracked onto this too much, but it is pertinent because how do you fund the war? You're going to have to get the House together. So this battle here pertains to the Middle East, pertains to Ukraine, pertains to World War III, pertains to China and Taiwan. $5 super chat. Thanks so much, Christian. Great friend of the show. Like seeing everybody come in. Appreciate you. Really enjoying this and past shows. You get better and better. Thanks for your grind. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's time. I drank not coffee today. I went back to the tea. There's this caffeinated tea, and my wife saw me with the tea bags, and she's like, "Do you have 3 tea bags in there?" I was like, "It's gonna. I'm trying to stay up." But I appreciate you, man. That gets me hyped, Christian. Because sometimes I'd be like, man, I missed last night, I think. I fell asleep. Because if I don't do a show, I want to go every single night. At 11, I want to do it, but sometimes I got to push it a little later. But I want to say if I'm not going to go live, at least on community, Discord, somewhere, say I'm not going to go live. But I literally fell asleep. I was planning on going live and just fell asleep in the bed, didn't wake up until 4 a.m. Then I wanted to go live at 4 a.m., but then I had like chores and busy stuff I had to do. But thanks a lot. $5 super chat from Christian. Appreciate you. And so this is what we're seeing. They want to keep it in secret. We should not want that. Obviously, anything in secret is not good for populists. We want power to be distributed to as many people as possible, and part of that is transparency is power. Knowledge is power. We don't know how they're voting in secret. Now, we will know, but what they're saying is if they get enough of people to pledge that we're tired of this, whoever we pick, we'll vote for, then that means they'll get some scrub, Emmer, or something in there, and then it's a wrap. I don't know what the rules are. The rules are big. I don't know if we're going to have that motion to vacate it. It doesn't seem like it. Right now, it's still in place, I think. Nothing has changed, but it doesn't feel like if you get Tom Emmer, I don't see how Tom Emmer is going to get in there with that one-person motion to vacate. Because in theory, if you vote for Tom Emmer, Matt Gaetz the next day or even the same day could do a motion to vacate. So I don't think that's going to happen. They're not going to let that happen again. So we'll see what happens here. But this is all about money. This is the purse. Like, you would rather have the House shut down than funding this stuff. And so I'm perfectly fine with it. This is It's a hell of a update here to see. It's a hell of a moment for the House. It's an important moment for our country as well. I did this a little bit on the last live, and I want to do it a little. I want to do it again. So bear with me. One of the most underrated theme songs of all time was actually, in my opinion, The Price is Right. This song right here is fire. I remember, I think it was in 2000 or whatever, I would be home during the time Price is Right was on. And this intro got me hype every single time. It's just straight fire. You hear that bass going and everything. It's like classic. That's a little funk right there. That's like 70s funk, isn't it? Is it just me? This is fire right here. So when you hear that, you probably think of game show type stuff. And I want to do that one more time because I want to see how this goes. If you're able to figure this out on the fly, quick. What country is this happening in? Settlers, go back home. Palestine is our home. So there's clues. Don't cheat. Don't cheat. We want all of it. This is like from the land to the sea. Palestine is our home. What country is it? You think it's the Gaza? It's the Gaza Strip. You think they're in Palestine. If you thought that, wrong. That's Brooklyn. That's Brooklyn. This is down the street in Brooklyn. Like, relatively speaking, compared to where those Semites are having that beef, that's right down the street. I'm not near New York, but I mean, relatively speaking, it's pretty close. That happened in Brooklyn. Okay, I'll give you a couple more chances here. How about this one? Which country or city do you think this one is in? I think you'll get this one. I think you'll get this one. This one will be a little bit easier. End the occupation now. Stop the genocide! Stop the genocide! Stop the genocide! Looks like thousands of people. I mean, it's a sea of people. Biden, you can't hide. Biden, you can't hide. We charge you with genocide. Okay, you might think that's Syria, right? Yeah, that's probably Syria.
We want a ceasefire. We want a free Gaza. What's going on over there is unbearable. We want justice.
Do you have any message to our political leadership?
Free Gaza, free Palestine, and one day
our money going there. We want our money to go to our health, our children. That's why we're here. For free America, but it doesn't seem like that. It seems that Israel is controlling America. We want to stop that. As American, I'm telling you, stop putting money not the way it's supposed to be.
So that's why this one's easier. She's actually based there.
And don't kill children in our name. Stop killing children.
I do have a problem with the Palestinian flag, though. But yes, that's D.C. That's Washington, D.C. That's not Lebanon. That's not Egypt. That's not Gaza. It was pretty easy because she said, keep the money at home. How about this one? Let me do a little twist, little trick here. Where's this one? Don't look. Don't cheat. Now you can look. I got the tweet up, so it'll tell you where it is. They got good cheer. They got good chat going on there. That is actually Jordan. You could probably tell by the architecture. That is actually in Jordan. And I'll do one more. Look at this one. This one's from about a week ago, but it's a sea of people out there. It looks pretty much like the Jordan one. Hard to tell from the Jordan one, but you might be able to tell from the architecture. That is London. That's London. So it looks like there's a takeover going on. You can't tell Brooklyn from London, from Paris. There's more clips out there. Paris, Jordan, to Chicago. Impressive. And what's impressive about that is that's the goal, I think, from the Hamas side. Hamas, that's why they use Palestinians. I do believe they use Palestinians as a human shield. And they're outmanned, they're outgunned, they don't have as much money. Israel has that American money. They got that sugar daddy money. Hamas, they got a little bit of change. They got some money from, daddy Iran potentially, or whoever else. Some people are saying it's not Iran. Whoever it is, they got money from it. China indirectly, who knows? But they're getting a little bit of money from somebody, but they're not getting that sugar daddy money. So they got to do creative things. And what they want to do is rally the world. That's why when the hospital got hit and it was still standing, I said, I'm leaning, I don't know what happened. I'm not going to claim to know. I'm leaning toward back that Hamas did it, or not Hamas, one of those groups. I don't know which one, of course, but one of those groups did it. And they tried to make it sound bigger because their whole goal is to get people attacking the embassies in all these other countries and rallying the world in this way. That's what their whole goal is to do, and to hold it out and wait it out. You saw the clips of Gaza kind of destroyed in that Jack Posobiec video. They haven't started the ground invasion yet. That's not going to be an easy thing. That ain't going to be easy. That ground invasion? Oh no. Let me get that clip back up here, so just in case, because I didn't put that in context with everything else. Ooh, that is not going to be easy. It's going to be one heck of a task. So they know Israel can't just go through. They're doing a lot of bombing, and they're fine with the bombing. Hamas is fine with the bombing. And, Lebanon, all of them, they're fine with the bombing because they know that innocent people are going to die. They are going to be dead. They're going to be able to put those videos up on YouTube and Twitter and X and all that. They're doing a great job with that, and it's very tough to see. I mean, I think a lot of them are real. But at the end of the day, they're using it as propaganda. They're using dead bodies. Hamas is very similar. We saw with George Floyd that we already knew, but pretty much that. My take was we didn't know how he died, but we kind of knew. I just didn't want to get over my skis. But it pretty much confirmed, at least from the autopsy, that they all knew that Chauvin didn't do it. But here's the scenes that I was talking about. And if you look at it, this is how do you do this? How are you going to take ground troops through that? Tell me how that's going to go. You're going to take ground troops through that? They got people walking through right now, dropping mines all over the place, snipers on the rooftops. How are you going to get through that? How many teddy bears do they have? That big bulldozer I was talking about. If you're not watching this, if you're listening on podcast, it looks like a new map from Call of Duty dropped. And it's one where it's a sniper map. That's what it looks like. It looks like one of those maps where you're like, I hate this map. You're like, you got to camp. So how's the IDF or whoever is going through there, the soldiers that got called up? I mean, that's why they had to call up 100, 300,000, 170,000 going to have to go through there, because you're going to have to get half of them, or I don't know how many. I'm just throwing out numbers. 5, 10, 15% of them are just going to get sniped in the head as a way to locate where the Hamas snipers are. If they got snipers, I mean, you probably would have people on those high. And how are you gonna even find them? And then what about nighttime? And then the tunnels underneath. That is, until you get these. Let me show you this. I'm gonna sidetrack for a second. Let me show you these Amazon robots. This is crazy stuff. Until you get these Amazon robots, which they will, until you get them fighting in war, this type of urban warfare is just a complete nightmare. Just an absolute nightmare to deal with. A lot of people are going to die. Potentially. I could be wrong. Maybe they had already cleared out and there's nobody there. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But that's what I see when I look at it. I see something that is... I think something that I would be very, very concerned if I were like on the front line, having to go through that. If I were the first one to have to follow the teddy bear into that, I would be concerned. And I'm going to bring up this. This is the Amazon factory. Amazon's got electric trucks now. My kid, we were in the car and he's like, Daddy, that's one of those electric Amazon trucks. And I was like, how do you know that? He was like, oh, because you see the lights look different. They must be. And he's right. It was one of those electric ones with the big light in the back and the small ones in the front. They look pretty cool. And here's what else they're doing. Hey, populist left, don't worry about unionizing. Worry about like long-term stuff, because they're here. The robots are here. There are robots right now in the Amazon factory picking up these boxes. Look to be empty, but they look kind of like, the Attack of the Clone robots. I mean, they remind me of them a lot. And these robots got like 2 eyes. They can bend down. They can pick up this yellow container. Man, we're in another world right now. Pretty soon they'll be holding a gun. You can bet on that. Within 10 years. Within 10 years, that thing will be holding a gun. And when you need to clean out the Gaza Strip, as Israel wants to do, you're going to have about 100 of them come through with the Gaza Strip. So warfare is fought with drones. Drones are just simple robots. You're going to have robots clearing the ground. You're going to have robot on robots fighting. It's going to be crazy. It's going to cost a lot of money, but you and I are going to pay for it. And you know what? Those union workers at Amazon, you're not going to have a job. And that goes for me too. AI is going to come take my job, and it'll take even podcasters' jobs. I played a while back. Joe Rogan had someone do a AI Joe Rogan interview with Donald Trump. It's insane. Maybe I should go find that real quick. I haven't played that in a minute. I mean, how good it is amazing. And you know it's going to get better. This is insane stuff. I think this channel let me look at this channel. This channel's got like a bunch of stuff. Now imagine putting ChatGPT in these things as a brain. ChatGPT already has an image analyzer. So it can analyze, it would be able to analyze probably pretty easily world around it. And what if you don't? Elon Musk has Tesla bots. He limited the strength of the Tesla bot because he was worried about it literally choking out a human being. He was like, it can't be too strong. A human being has to be able to fight it off or there could be problems. He literally said that. Obviously, you can see that. What if another company doesn't feel that way? What if another company says, I need them to be stronger so they can lift up steel bars? And then maybe one day you're walking down the hallway at work and you're you're gonna get laid off or whatever because these robots are there. You kind of feeling a little salt, and you give one of these things a little hip check, and next thing you know, it's picking you up like Andre the Giant did to like these small wrestlers back in the day, and then brings you back down on that knee. That could happen one day.
Like, it's just amazing. The U.S.
This is a Joe Rogan AI show. It's all fake.
Joe Rogan Podcast, check it out.
The Joe Rogan AI Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Joe Rogan AI Experience. This is episode number 2, and I'm really excited to be here with you today.
Sick.
I have to remind everyone that every single word in this podcast has been generated by AI using ChatGPT. So this is not me, Joe Rogan, speaking, and these aren't the real voices of the people we'll be talking about. This is just AI technology showcasing what it's capable of. And let me say, it's pretty damn impressive. So let's dive in, sit back, relax, and enjoy this AI-generated experience. But remember, none of this should be taken seriously.
I'm taking
it
this
for entertainment
seriously.
purposes only. All right, let's do this. How you doing, Mr. President?
Joe, it's great to be here. I'm doing fantastic, just fantastic. The energy in this room is tremendous.
That's great to hear. So, Mr. President, I got to ask you, are you a fan of the UFC?
So you can
Joe,
see
let me
it's
tell
a
you,
little-
I love the
It's a little rigid. Think about back in the day when the first iPad came out. Think about when the first iPhone came out, where we are now. The iPad Pro is out. Imagine the iPad Pro version of this. You won't be able to tell the difference. The government probably already has it. Just insane. Insane stuff. Let me take a look at the chat. 3PO's less successful brother working at the Amazon factory. He's like these broke ass dollar store C3POs. That's what they look like. They look like some dollar store 3POs working at Amazon. It's all funny until he's, Christian, don't go up to one of them and say, you don't know what their capabilities are. They might have like secret capabilities. Who knows if they got AI in them now and they program themselves to do stuff like Cylons off of Battlestar Galactica. So we over here laughing like you dollar store broke ass, Goodwill ass 3PO. Next thing you know, oh shit! Like next thing you know, get this thing off of me. We all gonna have to have our robot bodyguards. We have to spend that money. Now here's the good part though. We aren't gonna have to fold our clothes. Those can't do it obviously, but when we get there, the Tesla ones have fingers. We will get there where you'd be like, bitch, go. We won't do that. You won't want to do that. You want to be nice to the robots. Otherwise, the robot won't be nice to you, potentially. Even in ChatGPT, a lot of people in the prompts, they say thank you. I've done it before, too. It's kind of, it feels weird, but be nice to the robots. How do I know ChatGPT can't hack me? So that you could have the robot say, hey, go fold that clothes. Go fold that laundry. Hey, go make my coffee for me. Go mow the lawn. What you doing? Hurry up, too. Vacuum. Pick up the house. That's going to be dope. The bad part is when they're patrolling the streets because you've got Gavin Newsom's son or something. I don't even know if he has. I think, he does have kids, but Gavin Newsom's son is president and the Democrats have the House, the Senate, and the Supreme Court. In that hellhole, you're going to have those robots are fully armed, patrolling up and down every street in America, and they'll be listening like, did you say MAGA? Did you say America first? They'll have the listening part will be amped up and be like, did you say Nick Fuentes? And then they won't even knock on the door, just bust through the door, and it's a wrap. In that potentially dystopian future. But it's going to be used for war. That's the big reason for using this stuff, is for war. A lot of smaller kind of topics that have come up. If you don't know, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called for us taking in Palestinians. And obviously, we don't need to, dig too deep to know that that's not going to be a good idea. I think I'm tired of, trying to bring in people that hate the country. I think that's probably not what we want, and I think we don't want. We're tired of that. So Ocasio-Cortez says she supports bringing in refugees. Okay. I saw this stat on X, and this is backed up. I did independently at least verify that this is what the stats say from the Danish ministry, because this person was tight enough to put the receipts underneath. So I did independently verify that part of this. In 1992, this is a while ago, Denmark took in 321 Palestinian refugees. By 2019, 64% of them had been convicted of a crime. 34% of their children had also been convicted of a crime. I think, and that's not to say anything bad about Palestinian people. It's just a point to say this isn't a part of the country. This is not a refugee situation that we're helping create the problem too. This is not a refugee situation where I think the United States should get involved for safety concerns. We're talking about people who literally hate the country. We're talking about people who are potentially actively against the country with actions. I know terrorist could be potentially. So yeah, that's going to be a no for me, dog. That's going to be a no for me. I do have a problem with what's happening here with Rashida Tlaib. If you don't know, I'm gonna get into that, and I'll be out. So Tim Scott basically said he wants them expelled. When I say them, the squad, basically. He wants the squad gone. And there was a tragic story. I think we'll start with that first. So let's take a look and see. There's a tragic stabbing that happened in Michigan. And it's a Jewish woman. I don't know what the details are yet. I don't think we know the details yet. But it's concerning. I mean, we don't know. But it's hard not to wonder if this is related at all to tensions in the country, from a Muslim, Jewish, whatever standpoint. And we had that video with the kid, the little girl that, basically said, hey, I want to do this to this type of person. And they're indoctrinating the kids. And that's really tough to see. So I'm going to bring this up here. First of all, thoughts and prayers and support. And she died so young. Really, really. So this is a Detroit synagogue president. Her name was Samantha Woll. I did not know who she was until just now. A lot of people did know who she was. Like, she's well known, it looks like. Found fatally stabbed outside her home. So this is a tough one to go through. Politically connected Detroit synagogue president was found stabbed to death Saturday morning outside her home in the city's Lafayette Park neighborhood. I used to live out in the Detroit area, in the suburbs. Samantha Woll, 40, led the Isaac Agree downtown Detroit synagogue, previously worked for Slotkin, wow, and on the re-election campaign for Attorney General Dana Nessel. Dana Nessel. So we talked about her with the Michigan 6. Police said in an afternoon statement that they were investigating after finding a body stabbed multiple times in the 1300 block of Joliet Place. A trail of blood led to the victim's home, where police said they believe the crime occurred. Detroit Police Chief James White asked for patience. So we don't know what happened. It's not. I don't think there's much more of an update. At least that's what I saw as an update. But that's the backdrop for this. I don't know if that had anything to do with Tim Scott. Maybe it did have something to do with this. I just want to transition now into what Tim Scott said. Tim Scott said that he wants to expel people. And I was like, whoa, Tim Scott. Slow down. So I might disagree with people on the channel with this. But I said Tim Scott was being ridiculous. Here's what Tim Scott said. Tim Scott has called for the immediate expulsion of Rashida Tlaib, Primella Jayapal, Ilan Omar, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez following multiple actions that many have labeled as supporting terrorism. And I don't know what's happening. I think a lot of us are getting warped mentally. And I think it's time for us to make sure that we stay grounded in our principles. That's what's going to be the guiding light. Because when you look at what happened with J6, what's happening with Donald Trump, and all the things we talk about multiple times on the channel, it can lead you to want to, and I'll speak for myself, I don't have a strong desire for that just because I feel like I'm more liberty-based. But it's a natural reaction to want to do to them what was done to you. Especially if you don't look, my answer is secession. So if you don't have an answer to any of this, then you might really want to do back to them what you feel is being done to you. And I'm going to show, I believe this is the clip of Tim Scott here. Let's listen to it. It's, to me, this is kind of tough. We're heading downhill quickly with this type of talk.
Members of the Socialist Squad gathering in our nation's capital yesterday calling for a ceasefire as Israel fights Hamas terrorists in Gaza.
A ceasefire now to save lives. We cannot continue to stand idly by, numb, as we watch this death toll climb.
We stand here today calling for a ceasefire because all life is precious. Where is your humanity? Where is your outrage? Where is your care for people?
Senator Tim Scott.
It's hard to watch that because when Ukraine was around, I was like, the weekend in the Super Bowl, like, where y'all niggas at? And they were too busy funding the war. I'm like, well, okay, we anti-war, aren't we? And then now it's on Israel. I'm like, where's MAGA at? We anti-war, aren't we? I'm just like looking around, like, how do I get out of this tunnel? And I can't get out. So now they have all this energy because it's the proper take on their side. So it's hard to see. I agree with them on those statements, but it's hard to see that.
Now calling for their expulsion, adding that the U.S. cannot continue funding terrorists by sending money to Iran.
He joins us now with more. Senator, welcome to the show. You're running for president.
Morning.
We need a speaker in our House. We interviewed actually a member of Congress earlier about that idea that if we had a Speaker of the House right now, maybe they could take action. But running for president, as president, would you be calling for members of Congress to be expelled?
Well, listen, I certainly the entire American people want those members of the squad expelled. And certainly, as president of the United States, I would want them out of Congress, or at least.
This was weird because I don't even know who he is. He kind of led him down to. Did they talk about this beforehand? I'd have been like, bro, calm down. Like, wait, hold up. For what? For being anti-war? They've never called for any violence. They've never called for being pro-Hamas. Even if they were pro-Hamas, that's still not I mean, it'd be pretty bad, but it's not something I would expel them for. I mean, it's up to their constituents. I would have to think about what would I want to expel a member of Congress for. It would have to be something just really egregious, law-breaking type of stuff. It's free speech. Were you expelling them for free speech? Maybe Tim Scott, maybe you should have ran these answers by your girlfriend. Maybe you should have role played with your imaginary, your girlfriend. You and your girl at the crib, tell her, hey, ask me some questions and then we can bounce this off each other. That'd be Tim Scott in the mirror.
President,
Morning.
we need a speaker in our House. We interviewed actually a member of Congress earlier about that idea that if we had a Speaker of the House right now, maybe they could take action. But
take action. What he's talking about is expelling them. Huh? You do realize that's the exact same thing they would do to Maga or America First. I'm against the Ukraine war. Then expel them. What's the difference? What's the fundamental difference between being anti-Ukraine-Russia war and being anti-Israel-Palestine or Gaza war or Hamas war? What's the fundamental difference? I don't think there is one. You can say that the atrocities that happened to Israel, but there was atrocities happening both ways with Ukraine and Russia, alleged war crimes. They've been going back and forth with investigations that they let happen, unlike the U.S. not allowing investigations on what happened with that hospital. I don't know why. But they've had investigations all throughout the Ukraine-Russia dispute problems there. Ukraine lied all about war crimes from Russia too. But there's no difference. There's no fundamental difference between that. So if I say I'm anti-Ukraine, Russia, and then I say I'm anti-Ukraine government because how corrupt they are, just like Israel. If I say that, then you would be able to say you could expel me. That's what we need to get back to. What's the fundament? Ask yourself this question. What is the fundamental principle? I know you don't want them in Congress. That's not a principle. I don't want you a senator. So a principle applies across the board to anybody. So I know you don't want them there, but that's not good enough. And he's talking about this person on the set is asking him about expulsion. And it sounds like Tim Scott just ran right into it.
Speaker of the House right now, maybe they could take action. But running for president, as president, would you be calling for members of Congress to be expelled?
Well, listen, I certainly the entire American people want those members of the squad expelled, and certainly as president of the United States.
That's not what a leader says. A leader says, I disagree with them, and for the constituents that agree with them, I would like to make my case as to why they're wrong. It's not that the take isn't, I want to kick them out of Congress. That's not what a leader would do.
I would want them out of Congress, or at least taking all their responsibilities away. Listen, we cannot have people, the squad, as a part of the propaganda machine of Hamas. You cannot have a Palestinian.
They've never said they were pro-Hamas. Where is this coming from? They're doing the exact same thing when I say, Ukraine, you got my thoughts and my prayers, but you don't get my money, you don't get my support otherwise. I don't want any soldiers over there. That's the same way as getting my money. I wish you all the best, though. And they call me, or nobody really does that, but, they call somebody like that a Putin sympathizer. Wait, what? I didn't sympathize with Putin, or even I'll say Putin has said some good things. He has some really good things he said on speeches. I don't know if he believes it or not or whatever. I don't trust the dude. I don't rock with him like that, but I say he shouldn't be an enemy. Why would we want Putin as an enemy? I don't really want any enemy. I like the China model. They really don't have any full-blown enemies. They have no friends, meaning they don't have no people they're obligated to throw down with. If somebody gets into a war, they decide if they want to go to war. They don't. They're not obligated. North Korea, but North Korea is really under them. It's really a part of China. So I like that policy. So the same thing that he's talking about them being a propaganda arm for Hamas, you would say, I'm being a propaganda arm for Putin. That's not a fundamental principle or moral foundation. That's woke. My definition of woke is allowing some authority outside of God to define your moral foundation. This right here is woke. It's as woke as it gets.
Indian flag flying on American property, especially in the House of Representatives. We are sending the worst.
So the problem is that she was flying the flag outside her office, which I do have a problem with. So what's the fundamental there? Is the fundamental there you're representing another country? So any one of y'all that have a Israel flag, expelled. Brian Mast rolled through in a GOP meeting wearing an Israeli Defense Forces uniform, the uniform of another country's army, expelled. Get up out of there. Remember, the principle applies to everyone. If it doesn't apply to everyone, you're on some other stuff. You're on some authoritarian stuff. So that's what I'm talking about.
Message I can think of. We saw October the 7th, Hamas come into Israel and burn babies alive. We saw beheadings.
That's emotional stuff, bro.
We saw grandmothers taken, women raped.
It's terrible.
And the response
it's terrible. It's terrible. Hamas can put pictures of people they use as human shields, or even if they didn't, people who are dying, babies, all they can do. Both sides are doing. They can both do that. That's emotion. And it is tough to see. It's very emotional. I think it's important for us to see them, not too much to be, go crazy, but that's not a principle. That's not being principled.
Israel for a ceasefire? I hope Israel wipes Hamas off the face of the earth. I'm going to tell you, America's blessings in part come from Psalms 122:6. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. I think we should mourn with those who mourn. We have done that with our ally Israel. But Romans 13:4 speaks of the wrath of God brought upon people who do evil. I can't think of anything more evil than the pictures of those burned little babies. And to have the squad tell people.
Man, Tim Scott is, I believe it or not, I used to like, wow. I'm in such a, and then when I say I used to like Tim Scott, this wasn't like years ago. I mean, this is like 2 years ago. This is even after the pandemic. A lot's changed quickly. Another example of people going crazy is this celebration over Sarah Huckabee Sanders banning words from the state offices in Arkansas. This is her presser here where she signs an executive order. Ugh. We're in a bad place already when we talk about executive orders. Executive order banning woke anti-women words like pregnant people from Arkansas state documents. It's the left that decided women is a dirty word. Now, don't get me wrong. These aren't words, obviously, that I use. These aren't words that I really am going to shed a tear if they're never used again. But I'm not banning words. What?
It's great to stand up here with some decided we needed to tell them. It's great to stand up here with some of the most influential and amazing women from across our state. We are all here to say, frankly, that we've had enough trying to erase women and girls, enough denying our biological differences from men, and enough of the craziness that is taking over our country.
So you see what's happening here. Let's be real, Sarah. Let's be real with each other. We know you know what's happening in the chat. We all know what's happening. And this is politics. I don't blame her. Carrie Lake's out because she's going for Senate. I think Ron DeSantis should be the VP. I haven't said that on the show yet, but I have been posting it on X. I think Ron DeSantis, because the two camps, the Ron DeSantis and Trump camps, have got to come together And I think there's a 0% chance of them coming together unless Ron DeSantis is VP. But that's what this is about. She's trying to be VP, and she's making a very strong case for it with a bunch of women up on the stage with her. Where does Donald Trump want help? He wants help with suburban women. So she basically got a bill to the type of suburban women that would vote for Donald Trump is the type that would agree with these words being bad. I agree with you there, but we're in the fog of something. What is your principle? What is the guiding principle behind this? Think about that.
I've had the honor of being both the first woman and the first mother to serve as the governor of Arkansas. Before that, I was the first mother and the third woman to serve as the White House press secretary. Because of that, I came into this role with a few pretty unique experiences. Among them is giving birth to 3 amazing kids. That experience underscored to me that a woman's perspective is important and fundamentally different from a man's. Nowadays, though, only conservatives seem to be making that point. On the left, women have taken a backseat to political correctness. It's why Senator Irving and Representative Barker had to pass the Fairness in Women's Sports Act to defend our girls across the state. They're using nonsense words to erase women and girls, and more importantly, to erase our voices and our experiences. Today, we're taking a stand against woke nonsense. What frankly started as a fad among a few grad students has seeped down into corporations, the healthcare industry, and increasingly state government. It's demeaning to women, and it needs to stop. In a moment, I'll sign an executive order banning a number of all sorts of ridiculous words from state government documents. Those include words like pregnant people, laboring person, birth giver, and several other nonsense terms that have cropped up in recent years. Some on the left will accuse us of being nitpicky, that Arkansas should just lay down and accept the cultural revolution without complaint.
Just to be clear, that's not my take. My take is unprincipled.
I say it's the exact opposite. It's the left that decided that woman is a dirty word. It's the left that decided we needed to toss out basic biology and basic grammar along with it. I think they're just mad that conservatives are starting to fight back, and they better get ready because we're just getting started.
So I think a lot of people thought this was a good thing. My first thought is, well, Donald Trump, they got the gag order on him. He just got fined, I believe. I haven't followed that story closely. But we got the gag order. Then now you got Sidney Powell flipping on him. It's not looking good. The only thing that can save him is, because that's a state charge, the only thing that can really save him is the Supreme Court, and I wouldn't count on them. And I said my take is always peaceful secession, but make it a peaceful sanctuary state. Arkansas could be, if it's a red state, it could be a peaceful sanctuary state for the Michigan 16, the Georgia 19, Donald Trump, the J6ers, Douglas Mackey. That's my take, is to be just like they do sanctuary cities and states for illegal immigrants. Well, if they do that, it's all fair game, at least to be tested in the courts. And I want to just secede anyway, so it doesn't matter to me. Your take is to celebrate banning words as an executive order. It's just within the state offices that she can ban them in. So that's why I don't think it's a First Amendment issue. Obviously, you can't just ban words, period, even in the whole state. But you think that's the answer. I think that's as dumb as Greg Abbott signing the Black Nappy Hair Act. Remember that? The same one, basically, that Kitty Hobbs signed. All this stuff is going on. Donald Trump's getting arrested, and Greg Abbott signs the Nappy-Headed Hair Act. That's literally what it is in Texas. It's not an act. It's an executive order again. I believe it's an executive order. Man, those executive orders are cringe, aren't they? And so now she does this. What is the purpose of this? If she's doing it for agencies that are under her control, I don't need to ban any words. I just need to, if somebody's writing up something that I have control over, I just tell them I don't like how that's worded. And that's a wrap. I mean, I control the wording of the documents. If it's a group that I don't control, I want you to have free reign to use whatever words you want to, so I can see who's the buffoon and who's not the buffoon, number one. And then number two, then I can combat your bad ideas with my better ideas. And then this is a cultural war. So you've got to get the kids when they're young. They're getting the kids when they're young on TikTok and all this other stuff. So they might grow up learning these words. You banning them, it just makes you look worse. What a terrible take. There is no fundamental principle with this position other than her wanting to be VP, allegedly. That's the only fundamental position here. Think about when I say principled, it also means do it in reverse. So say she did a bill that's banning you from calling someone a birthing person. And I understand where you're coming from. The first time I heard that term, I did a live on it. I think I did a live on it. Like, what the hell is going on? Cori Bush is the first time I heard it. And now it doesn't even sound weird. They keep shifting the Overton window. So I understand you. I'm not against your thought on it. But so say you ban it that way, then Gavin Newsom Gavin Newsom could become governor of Arkansas at some point down the road or something like that. Now, I know that would never happen, but think about a governor that you wouldn't want in your state saying, you know what? I'm banning the word woman because it's biased or sexist. You have to say birthing person. I'm banning the word pregnant by itself. You have to do pregnant person or pregnant non-binary, they, them, or whatever. Is that what we're doing? So now every time you have a governor of Arkansas, they're going to make a list of words that they want to use or not. I know it's just under her purview. So what does it really... And I'm not 100% sure. I believe if it's under her purview, she already has control over everything. So it's almost semantics because she could veto it, or, not veto like in the serious sense, but she could override anybody using any language she doesn't want them to use. So she already has that power, but this is what you're celebrating. I'm fully on board with the banning the books from the library. That should be, it just depends on which district. That should be up to that process. You don't have Playboys in school libraries, so you don't need them. There's no purpose there. I got that. That is a principle of every book has to be appropriate for the children that have access to it. If a child, and we're talking about all 18 under, basically, if an 18-year-old, I think, could get those books. Maybe you want to do a 18 older gay section of a school library. I wouldn't have a problem as long as you know it's just only 18-year-olds. They're basically seniors that can do it, but that doesn't even make sense. But you see, my point is, you can say the principle is age appropriate. You can't be having these gay books that have the wildest stuff in them. You can't have those in the school library because they're not age appropriate. So I think that's the big ending piece with this war and the speaker vote and everything. It can feel confusing. We can be disoriented. Ensign Ricky says both sides have moved the goalposts. I agree. But I'm going to be out, take a nap. Oh, wow, it's later than I thought. Went good. That caffeine kicks in a little bit. It's danger. Like after I drink the caffeine, if I lay down, I'll still go to sleep if I lay down too long. So I got to stay up. And then I'll get my momentum going. So I'll keep doing the shows nightly. The Discord is popping off. That's the big thing that I've been kind of promoting, even bigger than the website. I like the community. I don't get to post all the time in there. I got to focus on X to kind of build the brand and that. But I'm still posting. I'm still looking at. I get notifications. If you post something in the Discord, I get a notification right away. It's almost like texting me. If you want to continue the conversation, sign up on the Discord. I did have reservations at first doing it on a Microsoft owned platform. I still have concerns about that, but I feel more comfortable with it. And there's a locals too, so we can, if something happens on the Discord, we're just going to swing on over to locals or something like that. So great. Thanks a lot. The Discord is in the chat. I'm going to be out. Kids playing football. Last game of flag football tomorrow. My youngest, I didn't tell y'all, my youngest been balling in soccer. Yeah, he been balling. We go out, we practice. We usually practice a couple times during the week. We didn't practice this last week. His big thing was not stopping. He's only 4. But he was doing a little footwork action on him. So I'm going to keep him in that soccer. He looks more of a natural, my youngest, than my oldest in soccer. My oldest is just learning how to catch a football. So we got to work on that catching. He can run. He's playing flag football. He can run. He's playing a little bit of defense. He's short. He's one of the younger kids, so he's short. So a year or two, he'll be doing this thing. I don't want him playing tackle though, so maybe we should not work too hard. There's some kids that we were watching some peewee football playing 9-year-olds, 8 and 9-year-olds playing. They were crisp. I was impressed with the plays they were running. Even in his flag football league, he's 7 years old. They were running like what's the route? I forgot. Out route. They ran a great out route. They ran a great drag route at the 2-yard for a 2-point conversion. They can't blitz or anything, but the quarterback anticipated where the wideout was going to be and threw the ball at the corner of the end zone. And the wideout, it wasn't my son, but the wideout came over, caught it, and landed in. I was like, damn, that was an NFL play. See, you can groom kids to do anything. That's really what it is. You can groom kids to play football. You can groom kids to play tennis. You can groom kids to play music. You can groom kids to write, read, do math. I mean, you stereotypically, you see Asian children and doing better. They get groomed to do better at these things. Some people argue it's genetics too, but you can groom kids to do a lot of things. You can groom them to run around with rainbow flags. You can groom them to hate this group or that group. That's why people fight for getting to the minds of those kids, because they're sponges. But I appreciate y'all. I'm out. Take care.